Trump's companies have been selling several different kinds of crypto coins. A meme coin is a token that you buy because you hope to profit off of it if it becomes popular enough to sell to someone else.
You ought to get it settled because he's not done very much on that. He's got a lot of power, like we have a lot of power. I said you ought to get it settled. We did discuss it.
In the world of cryptocurrency, few ventures have attracted as much attention and controversy as the Trump meme coin. While it has significantly boosted Trump's wealth, the project has left many investors struggling with losses, highlighting the broader concerns over accountability and fairness in crypto-backed political fundraising. What started as a niche meme coin has now taken on a much bigger role thanks to Donald Trump's direct involvement. With his name and presence backing the project, the Trump coin has quickly shifted from a fringe cryptocurrency into a high-profile, high-stakes asset with real-world implications. The coin's value isn't just being driven by market dynamics or blockchain fundamentals. Instead, it's being powered by proximity to power. At the heart of this project is an exclusive promise. The top 25 holders of the Trump coin will receive an invitation to dine privately with President Trump at one of his luxury properties. And with Trump back in the White House, those same individuals are reportedly slated for a private tour of 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue itself. But this level of access doesn't come cheap. Based on current market valuations, the cost of admission into this elite circle sits around $1.5 million per wallet. That figure doesn't buy equity, political favor, or any kind of long-term security. It buys a dinner, a handshake, and a photo op with the president. And yet, for some, that price seems worth paying. To Trump's supporters, the coin represents a savvy fusion of political branding and modern digital finance, a populist figure embracing the decentralized future. But to critics, the picture is much darker. They argue that this is elitism in its most coded digital form, the auctioning off of political access via a volatile token sold to the highest bidders who are willing to gamble on both Trump and the market. In that sense, the Trump coin isn't just a cryptocurrency. It's a litmus test for a new kind of influence economy, one where financial speculation is directly tied to political opportunity. If the promise of influence and access raised eyebrows, the recent announcement of an extravagant dinner at Trump National Golf Club has sparked even more controversy, and not just among political watchdogs. According to promotional materials, the event is set to be a lavish gala dinner offering attendees the chance to rub shoulders with President Trump in an intimate, ultra-exclusive setting. But here's the catch. The invitation is extended only to the top 220 holders of the Trump coin. That's not just clever marketing. It's a direct effort to tie real-world prestige to the ownership of a speculative digital asset. Out of those 220, only the top 25 wallets will gain access to the even more coveted private reception, and possibly a White House tour now that Trump is back in office. In effect, the dinner acts as a tiered reward system designed to push more buying pressure on the token and reward those who have spent the most to elevate their rank. Critics are calling it out for what they believe it really is, a manufactured hype cycle propped up by a political figure monetizing his celebrity and base loyalty through a tokenized system of exclusivity. By creating artificial scarcity tied to personal access, Trump is effectively engineering a spike in demand for the coin, raising the price, raising his holdings, and raising the risk for average investors. For everyday crypto traders or political supporters buying into the hype, the danger is clear. This kind of campaign can artificially inflate the value of the coin, causing people to invest large sums in hopes of climbing the ranks, only to be left holding the bag when the market inevitably cools or whales pull out. And while the coin's value may surge in the short term, the long-term implications are murky. Watchdog groups and financial ethics experts have already raised red flags, warning that this could be a form of pay-to-play influence peddling, hidden behind the glitz of digital finance and the spectacle of political celebrity. The dinner may only last a few hours, but the precedent it sets, trading digital tokens for direct political access, could resonate far beyond the ballroom. It's a gamble with consequences, not just for crypto, but for the very structure of political fundraising in the digital age. While President Trump and a handful of his allies appear to be reaping massive rewards from the Trump coin, the broader picture for everyday investors is far less rosy. The data paints a stark contrast between those at the top and the overwhelming majority who are left holding the bag. According to a detailed analysis by Chainalysis, more than 764,000 individual wallets holding Trump tokens are currently operating at a net loss. In stark contrast, only 58 wallets have recorded significant gains. Yet these few wallets have collectively amassed more than $1.1 billion in revenue. The disparity between these figures isn't just staggering, it's damning. Even more troubling is the pattern behind the profits. Blockchain tracing and on-chain forensic tools have linked several of these lucrative wallets to entities with direct or indirect connections to Trump's inner business circle. Names like Fight LLC and CIC Digital LLC surface repeatedly, both of which are tied to past Trump ventures and digital branding operations. These aren't anonymous crypto enthusiasts getting lucky, they're structured entities with insider access, strategic timing, and the ability to influence the narrative around the coin's value. This points to a deeply imbalanced ecosystem, where gains are not distributed randomly or democratically, but are instead concentrated among a handful of early movers and politically connected insiders. It casts serious doubt on the authenticity of the market dynamics. Was this really a free market, or a rigged game dressed up in patriotic branding and blockchain buzzwords? The optics alone are damning. On one hand, Trump and his allies publicly position the Trump coin as a populist innovation, an opportunity for everyday Americans to participate in the crypto economy, or even get closer to their favorite political figure. On the other hand, the mechanics of the project suggest a design that all but guarantees early enrichment for those already within the Trump business network, while later investors absorb the volatility and downside risk. This setup mirrors the same pattern we've seen in countless crypto pump and dump schemes: limited supply, manufactured hype, timed celebrity endorsements, and a cascading wave of retail investors rushing in, only to be left holding the bag when liquidity dries up or prices plunge. The illusion of opportunity masks what many analysts see as a classic case of engineered scarcity and selective access. For everyday buyers, many of whom were enticed by promises of political access, VIP experiences, or simply the thrill of supporting a cultural icon, the experience has been sobering. Some have watched their holdings crater in value within days. Others are realizing that the so-called perks of holding the coin, like exclusive events or insider tours, are only attainable with multi-million-dollar stakes, a threshold far beyond reach for the average investor. The Trump family's presence in the world of cryptocurrency doesn't end with flashy meme coins or high-profile dinners. It extends into a much deeper, more structural play that reflects the hallmarks of strategic empire building. At the center of this broader effort is World Liberty Financial, Inc., WLFI, a project branding itself as a decentralized crypto bank but raising serious questions about its true nature. WLFI isn't just another startup in the chaotic crypto landscape. It's an ambitious undertaking aimed at raising $300 million through a public token sale. But what sets it apart isn't just its scale. It's the early access and preloaded benefits secured by insiders with direct ties to the Trump family. Before a single WLFI token has been offered to the public, the Trump-linked apparatus has already claimed a massive stake of 22.5 billion tokens, an allotment that Bloomberg analysts have estimated at a staggering $337.5 million. This isn't speculative value, it's a concrete slice of the ecosystem locked in before retail investors even get a chance to participate. At the heart of the operation is DT Marks DEFI LLC, a Delaware-registered entity reported to be connected to the Trump family. According to publicly available documents and project filings, DT Marks is slated to receive 75% of all revenue generated by WLFI. That's not a typo. 3/4 of the project's earnings are pre-designated for a single Trump-aligned corporate entity. This setup raises fundamental concerns about transparency, governance, and fairness. In most legitimate decentralized finance projects, founders and early stakeholders typically structure tokenomics to encourage broad participation, community trust, and long-term sustainability. But WLFI's model flips that script entirely. By locking in outsized rewards for insiders before the project even launches, the venture appears to operate more like a closed funnel of enrichment rather than an open ecosystem of innovation. In essence, investors are being invited to pour money into a project where the biggest beneficiaries have already cashed in, and they're doing so without a full picture of how WLFI will function in the wild. Without clear utility, audited security protocols, or any substantial proof of concept before branding and big names. What's particularly jarring is that all of this is being done under the banner of decentralization, but in reality, WLFI appears to be anything but. Control is tightly concentrated, revenue flows in one direction, and the early advantage is overwhelmingly skewed toward a familiar inner circle. For some, this structure is emblematic of a broader trend in Trump's crypto ventures, projects dressed in the language of populism and decentralization, but engineered to enrich a small elite. The messaging targets everyday investors, but the mechanics are built to protect and reward those already at the top. Digging into WLFI's white paper and accompanying legal documents reveal a carefully crafted setup, one built to protect Trump and his inner circle from accountability while still allowing them to profit handsomely. First, President Trump is not officially listed as a director, advisor, or executive in any of the filings. This means that despite his family's financial stake and the heavy use of his name and likeness, he carries no formal responsibility for the project's operations or outcomes. Second, the companies behind WLFI go out of their way to distance themselves from political affiliations, even though the entire marketing strategy is steeped in Trump branding. The messaging leverages his influence, yet the legal language makes it clear this is not an official Trump project, at least on paper. Lastly, and perhaps most troubling, are the clauses buried in the fine print. Token allocations can be altered or reassigned without prior notice, and investors have limited rights or recourse. In short, the system is designed to be flexible for those at the top, but rigid and risky for everyone else. Altogether, this legal framework creates a nearly risk-free profit pipeline for the Trump-affiliated elite. They stand to gain regardless of how the project performs, while everyday investors are left to shoulder the uncertainty. It's a structure that looks more like a financial fortress than a fair market opportunity. Recent estimates from Bloomberg and other financial analysts indicate that President Trump has amassed an astonishing $3 billion in value through a constellation of cryptocurrency-linked ventures. This includes a mix of meme coins like the Trump coin, NFT collections, and substantial pre-launch token allocations tied to projects like World Liberty Financial, WLFI. It's a sum that rivals the entire campaign war chests of many major political figures, and it didn't come from traditional donors or super PACs, but from a rapidly evolving digital asset ecosystem. What makes this windfall so eye-catching isn't just the eye-popping number, it's the timing. This explosive growth in digital wealth has occurred just as Trump navigates massive legal expenses stemming from multiple lawsuits and criminal trials while simultaneously operating from the Oval Office once again. In any other political era, the sudden influx of such vast, unregulated capital might trigger immediate alarm bells. But because it's wrapped in the ambiguous world of crypto, there has been surprisingly little oversight, and even less clarity. Cryptocurrency by design thrives in the shadows of traditional finance. Transactions can be difficult to track. Wallets can remain pseudonymous. And with limited regulatory frameworks in place, there are often no clear requirements about disclosure, reporting, or oversight, especially when it comes to how such assets intersect with political activity. This raises a host of pressing questions. Is Trump's digital fortune simply savvy financial maneuvering, capitalizing on the latest market trends and branding opportunities? Or does it represent a new and dangerous loophole, a way to quietly amass and deploy financial resources without the legal guardrails that apply to traditional campaign fundraising? The line between personal enrichment and political fundraising has never been blurrier. Trump's brand is now tied directly to assets that are highly speculative, largely unregulated, and disproportionately beneficial to those with early access. In many ways, these ventures function as a form of modern political arbitrage, leveraging celebrity, influence, and timing to generate enormous private wealth while maintaining plausible deniability around campaign finance rules. Even more troubling are the implications for foreign influence. Because blockchain transactions can cross borders with ease and anonymity, it becomes nearly impossible to determine who is truly buying in. Are these meme coin whales and token purchasers loyal Trump supporters? Or could they include foreign actors with vested interests in U.S. politics? Without meaningful regulation or transparency, there's simply no way to know. Legal scholars and watchdog groups have already begun sounding the alarm, warning that crypto could become a black channel for campaign contributions that bypass traditional scrutiny. And with Trump's ventures leading the charge, the concern is no longer hypothetical. It's playing out in real time. This $3 billion digital war chest doesn't just signal a clever monetization strategy. It could represent the future of political financing. As traditional campaign contributions become more regulated, and as donors seek anonymity and faster returns, crypto offers the perfect storm of opacity, speed, and perceived legitimacy. But the risks are profound. Without reforms or at least updated frameworks to account for these emerging tools, political figures could use cryptocurrency to fund campaigns, curry favor, or shield financial dealings from public view. It opens the door to untraceable influence, unchecked fundraising, and elite self-enrichment, all under the banner of innovation. In Trump's case, it also means campaign readiness without accountability. With billions in liquid crypto value at his disposal, he's positioned to finance media, rallies, or digital campaigns without tapping traditional fundraising pipelines. That alone has the potential to reshape the dynamics of the 2024 election and beyond. In short, Trump's crypto fortune isn't just a personal success story. It's a political paradigm shift, and unless regulators move quickly to close the gap between innovation and integrity, it won't be the last. Trump's growing footprint in the crypto world isn't just shaking up markets. It's beginning to send ripples through Washington. One of the most telling signs, a major stablecoin regulation bill has reportedly been put on hold, with insiders citing concerns about Trump's deepening ties to cryptocurrency ventures. Lawmakers are wary of how his influence might shape or derail legislative efforts meant to bring clarity and oversight to the digital asset space. Meanwhile, Representative Jerry Connolly has publicly called for federal investigations into what he describes as more than 100 potential crypto-related conflicts of interest tied to Trump and his associates. These range from token distributions and campaign-adjacent fundraising to questionable revenue structures tied to politically branded projects. Critics argue that the current regulatory landscape is woefully outdated, ill-equipped to manage the scale and sophistication of political figures leveraging crypto as both a fundraising mechanism and a personal profit engine. At the heart of the concern is a growing fear that if left unregulated, cryptocurrency could serve as a shadow pathway for lobbying, backdoor deals, and influence peddling, a loophole large enough to reshape American politics behind the scenes. The clash between innovation and accountability has never been more urgent. Donald Trump's embrace of cryptocurrency as both a political tool and personal revenue stream marks a pivotal moment in American finance and governance. What began as fringe digital assets marketed under the banner of decentralization and financial freedom has evolved, under Trump's influence, into a concentrated engine of wealth and access for the few. Despite populist branding, these ventures have overwhelmingly enriched Trump and his close affiliates, while leaving hundreds of thousands of everyday investors in the red. The promise of open, community-driven finance has been replaced with insider allocations, legal loopholes, and high-stakes influence trading. This shift raises urgent questions for regulators and policymakers. How can innovation be encouraged without opening the floodgates to abuse? What protections exist for average investors when political power is intertwined with speculative digital assets? And perhaps most importantly, can crypto be prevented from becoming the next frontier for unchecked political fundraising and influence? Until clear answers emerge, Trump's crypto empire may not just reflect a financial trend. It could set the stage for a profound redefinition of campaign finance, political accountability, and the role of money in American democracy. The precedent is not only dangerous, it's already in motion. As Trump's meme coin fortunes grow, who really pays the price? Until transparency and fairness catch up, the biggest winners may always be those already holding the cards. It's time for investors and regulators alike to demand accountability before more people lose out. Let us know what you think in the comments section. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe for more content like this.